Thank you. Let me turn the music down a little bit. That music is supposed to heal you. It's supposed to be healing type of music. I don't know if that's true, but I don't know. Maybe it is if you listen long enough, exercise enough faith in it. I don't know. Anything's possible. Heavenly Father can use anything to heal you. So thanks for joining me. My name is Shaquan Ben Yisrael. I want to give thanks to the Heavenly Father, Earthly Mother, for this opportunity to be a light while I'm in this reality. That means to take my life, to dedicate myself to trying to fulfill the commandment given by the Creator, by the Heavenly Father, Jehovah, which is to serve one another, try to encourage one another, to draw near to the Creator, God. And I believe that means on a daily basis. I think it was something that I understood from a long time ago, that the will of the Father was to seek Him daily, always look for Him. And I think I understood that the purpose of the earth, one of the purposes of the earth would be to, uh, I mean, what I read in the Oahspe is that the earth was created to be a paradise for man. It was originally created to be a paradise for man. But it fell, sin entered the world, and since then, the gods of this world have tried to get men to glorify them, to worship them, and from that time on, it became a distraction for you faithists, you brethren who have the ability to be spiritual. You have the ability to believe in the Creator God. And I mean that, man. When I say it, you have to have, and I mean the right way. I mean the ability to understand what is beast kingdom worship. I mean, you have to be anointed in order for that to, as far as I can see, because the power of the beast kingdom to capture the souls of men. I mean, looking at the world, observing people, seeing the spirit that people are under. People are so thick and heavy into the earthly, the carnal. And I don't want to sound judgmental, man, but it's it's not even hard to see. I mean, all we know is what we see. And you look at social media, it gives you a good picture of the world. And let me, before I get started, go with the angels. Let me acknowledge the angels of the rising and the angels of the evening, found in this book right here, the Essene Gospel of Peace book for the teachings of the elect. And today, being Tuesday rising, that would be the angel of joy. The angel of joy. So we read, on the fourth rising after Sabbath, say these words. So we're going to say these words 3 times together on 3. Okay? Ready? 1, 2, 3. Angel of joy, descend upon earth, pouring forth beauty and delight to all the children of the earthly mother and the heavenly Father. Again. 1, 2, 3. Angel of joy, descend upon earth, pouring forth beauty and delight to all the children of the earthly mother and the heavenly Father. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Angel of joy, descend upon earth, pouring forth beauty and delight to all the children of the earthly mother and the heavenly Father. And then we read, and you will go forth into the fields of flowers after rain, and give thanks to your earthly mother for the sweet odor of blossom. For I tell you truly, a flower has no other purpose than to bring joy to the heart of the Son of Man, and you will listen with new ears to the song of birds, and see with new eyes to the colors of the sun and its rising and its setting. All these gifts of the earthly mother will cause joy to well forth within you as the spring wells forth of a sudden in a barren place. And you shall know that no one comes before the Heavenly Father, that the angel of joy lets not pass. When joy was earth created, and in joy did the earthly mother and the Heavenly Father give birth to the Son of Man. All right, so there we have it. The angel for the rising, the Tuesday rising, the angel of joy. And then this evening is going to be the angel of power. The angel of power, where we read, and on the fourth evening after Sabbath, say these words. So we're going to say these words 3 times together on 3, okay? Ready? Begin. 1, 2, 3. Angel of power, descend on me and fill with power all my deeds. Again, 1, 2, 3. Angel of power, descend on me and fill with power all my deeds. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Angel of power, descend on me and fill with power all my deeds. And we read, I tell you truly, just as there is no life on earth without the Son, so there is no life of the Spirit without the angel of power. What you think and what you feel, these are like the dead scriptures, which are only words on a page, or the dead speech of dead men. But the sons of light will not only think, will not only feel, but will also do. And their acts will fulfill their thoughts and feelings as the golden fruit of summer gives meaning to the green leaves of spring. And so I have oh, somebody must have joined the room. All right, that's great, man. Let me let the brother into the room. You brethren are gonna get to witness me letting somebody into the room. That's what the purpose of my room is for. I want to try to bring together other Oahspe Bible believing brethren. Really important, I think, for us to be together, try to be together. One thing I read is that is going to be the will of the Creator too, that at some point we are going to get gathered together, brought together. The Creator talks about the strength of the Gentiles and their overstanding so far as their military, that they have to be united, they have to be in harmony, they have to exercise the discipline of unity. And the same way is supposed to, it's the same for the faithless, for sons and daughters. We're going to live in our own communities. We're going to serve one another. It's the will of the Creator for us to be affiliated with one another. So, my room, I try to invite brethren, sons and daughters, redeem the time, store up. It's a good way to use your time. You sons and daughters, you faithless. It's a good way to come in. You come into the room, you get a bite to eat, save some leftovers for the brethren, so they can have something to eat. Then you got to go to work during the day. At least you got something that you can think on in your mind. Something that you can remember. And it's good to have something that you can occupy your mind with. That's really important. Occupy your mind with. Because what's the old saying? An idle mind is the devil's playground. Meaning thoughts will rush in whenever there's nothing else, no other substance there. And like the scripture says, or like what we read when we acknowledge the angel of, I forget which angel is, wisdom. And it talks about the power of your thoughts are as strong as a bolt of lightning. So my ministry, my room, I try to find like minded brethren who realize that if you are able to be spiritual, if you're able to be spiritual, and what I mean by that is that you can hear the Creator's voice. You can hear His voice. I call that a great gift, a great blessing, a great inheritance. I say that that is the ability, that you have the ability to be spiritual. If you can hear the Creator's voice, especially to the point of keeping yourself out of the beast kingdom, out of religion, out of Christianity, so far as worshiping a man God, a man God. In other words, you don't worship something that the origin of that name religion that you say you're involved with does not go back to any form or visage of anything man-made. If if the origin of what you worship, if it has a starting point as any man, then you are involved in deity worship, and you may be the greatest person on the face of the earth, but you will be counted as someone who is worshiping a deity. Now, from what I could understand as I read and study, anyway, let me do the food ministry first in the room first before I really get going here. I have a food ministry, and anyone who knows of someone and they have need of food of charity, man, I'm telling you, I can be contacted. I certainly can. And when you've been in that situation, man, you know, where you have nowhere to turn, you have no food prospects of being able to eat that day, man, that's a terrible thing, man. It's a very terrible thing. Well, I can be contacted. Please don't contact me asking for money. You know, don't please don't count me that much of a fool that you want to contact. You know, I remember about what 10 years ago I had a turkey, beans, and rice ministry. That was before I became a vegan. A vegan, so I do not buy meat for people to eat. But 10 or so, I forget. That was when I lived in Sacramento, and I had a food ministry. You know, just trying to do what is right by the Heavenly Father. And I'll never forget this one woman that contacted me. And she basically, you know, I felt she was worthy to be ministered to, or at least from what she said, she was not working and had children. And I told her that, well, my ministry is where I send you some turkey, beans, and rice, you know, try to send it in abundance to tie you over for a while. And she said that she had other items that she needed or something like that. I said, "Well, what is it? Let me see if I can help in that area." Don't you know she sent me a food list that had like almost all gourmet food items. She even wanted gourmet ice cream, you know, you know, filet mignon, and you know, and I was greatly disappointed in her that she would think to take advantage of someone who is I mean, you know, she must have confused me for a billionaire or something. I'm a struggling brother too, you know. And I just shook my head that there are people like that. We in a reality like that where people, you know, we are on the earth. You faith this? We're on the earth, man. We're on the thickest, darkest part of the realms, the spiritual realms. You got what? Like if I understand it correctly, you got the etheric, you got the atmospheric, you got the GA, JIAY, which is it's like what, semi-dark, and then you got the AG, which is darker than GA. AJI, that's like, darker than the GIAY. And then you got the corporal, which is where we are, which is, matter of fact, I posted something on it in my room just a few minutes ago. Just a few minutes ago. Here's my room. You can click on the link in the description box. Now, check it out. Check it out. I thought this was pretty interesting. In my room, here's something that's telling you why you should observe the new moon. So you can profit. So that the Great Spirit may profit you. Did you know that? That's why you should observe the new moon. Watch for it. And glorify the Great Spirit so that he may prosper you. The new moon. I didn't know that, really. Now, here it is right here where, let me see, is this it? Yeah, check it out. I thought this was really interesting. Something I learned just today. I'm constantly seeing how the Bible says one thing, and the Bible, it confirms the Oahspe in a lot of places. The Oahspe, it exposes the Bible in a lot of places, letting you know it really, this is a time, we're in a time of Dan. We're not in a time of a Danha anymore. That's past. The Danha, that's a time of high noon, You can see it right here on what I posted. Look at what I posted. It says, as to the various conditions, by analogy, it may help to think at times as Dan as being a relatively clear lens. That's the term in the Oahspe Bible. The times of Dan, that's when you can see clearly now the rain is gone, times of Dan. Relatively clear lens. It's a term in the Oahspe, okay? And then there's a term in the Oahspe called GA. 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 And, look at the world like, picture the world like if you're looking at a freeway and you see how the cars can go back and forth on the freeway. Just consider the earth passing in front of you like in a straight line. Let's say like you're looking at the horizon. Picture the earth just going from, say, like right to left. It's going right in front of you in the line, right to left. And then picture lines that go, like, how can I describe it? Put sections on the places where, like, make a blue strip and then make a black strip and then, and just cut it into sections on the horizons. Kind of like your fingers, right? You look at your fingers in front of you, and those are like periods of time. And then let's say the world, it crosses across the palm of your hand. It makes a straight line across the palm of your hand. It's going to go through those seasons of time. The Oahspe, it calls it different things: arc cycles, Danha cycles, sections. And so what the Oahspe does is just basically telling you the earth, it passes through different times. They have certain names of times that we pass through. Now here on the screen, Gia is a time that the earth, it passes through. And it's translucent. It's described as a translucent lens, meaning you can see through it. You can see through it, but it's a little bit obscure. You know what I mean? And then as you go down, it gets more and more obscure. AG is next. That's a time as being dark yet somewhat translucent lens. Then you got corporal, which is physical. That's like an opaque lens. And so it's trying to tell you that the earth, it passes through spiritual seasons relative to your overstanding of things. It says that corporal is like a midnight under a cloudy sky. So that's where we are. We are in corporality, which is we're on the earth. That's where basically the vortex is solidified the elements to the point that we have an earth. And then you go above the earth, you get into more atmospheria type of things, because it's like the elements are not compressed together, which gives us the earth. You know, when you leave the earth and you go into atmospheria, then the elements aren't as pressed together, if you know what I mean. Just trying to give you a picture of the spiritual. Now, the corporeal, the physical, which is where we are, it's the darkest place, man. It's like it says right here. It's like midnight under a cloudy sky. You just can't make anything out. Can't see anything. That applies to the spirits of men, except for you faithists. See, check out what the Apostle Paul wrote in the Bible. I mean, it confirms the Oahspe, what we got written here. He says, "For we see now through a glass darkly." He's saying we're on the corporal plane of creation. We're on the physical plane. We're on the earth. And spiritually, the earth is a very dark place. We're basically described as dead. And when we cross over, we are born again in spirit. It's basically like we're dead now. Bunch of dead people. Spiritually. But some of you brethren, you're like able to be alive. I know it sounds kooky. I'm just trying to explain what the reality is. There's some brethren who are you're able to be spiritual, man. That means not just talking about, you're able to see things that other people cannot see, One of the biggest things is religion. Religion as the beast kingdom, as the dragon. You faithists, we can see that religion is the beast kingdom. We can see it. And the amazing thing is that it's so easy that it can make you think you're going crazy. And it ain't like we want to judge, man. But we are called to use our brain. You called to use your brain, man. Think. So that you can keep yourself out of the pit. Use your brain, man. That's what the Creator is doing for us now. That's why we're in this time. It's called a time of Dan. Time of Dan. It's a time of great light, man. Look at the screen. Times of Dan. There's a time of Dan Ha, which is the dawn of Dan. Times of Dan. Dan Ha started for us in, if I'm not mistaken, 1848 or 1849. That was the time of Dan Ha. It was the dawn of Dan. It was the beginning of great light. A beginning of great light. Remember a couple videos ago I was telling you about the Fox sisters? The Creator, He used them. The Fox sisters of Rochester, New York. Many of you brethren probably never heard of them. The Creator, He used them to kick off spirituality. to kick off a new age, so to speak, of spirituality. He used, and you know what? I think that they're even mentioned in the Oahspe. The Fox sisters, I think, are even mentioned. Let me see real quick. Um, the Fox sisters, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe I came across, uh, I think I did come across them one time while reading the Oahspe. And it's real interesting because the creator, he said he used them. Okay, I don't think this will, let me see, this probably won't let me do a word study. Let me see. Let me try this one. I want you to see this, man, because this is the creator. He used, let me see if I can find the Fox sisters. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Oh, are you going to make a fool out of me? I know I read about him somewhere. Wasn't it here? Talking about how the creator, he used them to kick off spirituality, at least here in the Western Hemisphere. I'm pretty sure I remember reading it in the Oahspe. It's telling me it's not here. Man, that's interesting. I know I read about him in the Oahspe. Oh, no, there it is. Yep, here it is. See? This was the beginning of a time of Dan. Time of Dan, the time of great light. Actually, this was at the time of a Dan Ha. Oahspe calls it a time of a Dan Ha. When great light, it's like, remember I was, the earth, you picturing the earth going across your fingers? Say you picture the earth going across the middle of your fingers, right? You look at your hand, your fingers are sticking up, and picture the earth going across your first finger, then your second finger, then your third finger. And those are like periods of time. And this particular, a time of Dan is a time when light falls, spiritual light, a time of Dan, okay? I'm being redundant because I want to make this point as best I can. And I just found it interesting that he mentions these sisters, the Fox sisters, mentioned here. You can find another verse where it talks about them. Okay, here's the account. It's talking about how he used them to bring about spiritualism in the minds of people, and then in preparation for the Oahspe Bible, the Third Testament and the Oahspe Bible. He was preparing the minds of people, and he's saying he used these sisters to get it started. Isn't that interesting? I think they started out using a hoax on people. They started out perpetrating a hoax, from what I understand. But the creator, he used it for the hoax that they were pulling on people. He used it for his own purposes. That's why sometimes I refer to the Bible, even though it's corrupted, you cannot defend the Bible as the Word of God. You cannot do that. You cannot do that, brother. You cannot do it. But anyway, this is how he started off spirituality. See this? You can read it if you want. This is my screen froze. It's probably getting ready to crash. My computer probably getting ready to crash. If it crashes, I'm gonna come back up with another. I'm gonna go right back to it. I'm gonna redo it just to let anybody know, because usually around this time is when it'll crash. So here's where you can read about the Fox sisters. Okay. See, what book is this? Let's see what book this is real quick, where you can open up the Oahspe and read about them. Let's see. It's book 34, so let's find out which one that is. That would be the Book of Inspiration. Okay. So this is the Book of Inspiration. You can go there and read about it. It's good. It's an interesting read, you know. It tells you about this time of Dan that we're in right now. This time of Dan. And how the creator, he started it off. Getting people thinking spiritually. Tells you right here. That's one of the real blessings about the Oahspe. Telling you things like the Bible won't never touch on. So here you can read about it. I'm not going to talk about it on this video. I basically just trying to talk about the times of Dan and how it's important to know it because we're in. I just learned today. I mean, well, the Creator is showing you. You learn a couple of things. You know, the earth, it passes through times. You know, it passes through certain times. And what I wanted to say is that I learned just today that we're in a time of, if we're not there already, or maybe we have been there for a while, I can't really, I can't really say, but I learned about a time of AG, AJI, AG. AJI, here on the screen, AG. That's like a time of war. When men start going to war, they're at the next lowest elevation in spirit. They're at the next lowest elevation. That means if they go any further, the people on that earth, from what I understand, will be unredeemable. Unredeemable. Man will have reached a point, except for Faithus, except for you Faithus, man. Remember, that's why the continent Pan was sunk. It was sunk, man, because it got, the light brethren were told to build ships, the Faithus, so they escaped. They were given a way out. I perceive it may be the same thing for us in this time of Dan. I pray and hope, and I was thinking that X across America on April 8th, it could mean that everything is said and done by then. It could mean that the Creator is saying that he's going to finish the job by then, by April 8th. It could mean that, hey, it's going to, you know how X, it signifies the end of something, like, now it could be the end of the kingdom of man. It could be the end of the rulership of man. It could be the end of the kingdom of men. That's how I see it. That's how I see it. I pray that it's the beginning of somehow some sort of beginning of the kingdom of God. I really do, because a whole continent was sunk because it reached a level where it was unredeemable. The time of AG, AJI. Let's see if we can get a definition of it on the internet. Probably not, but let's see. I don't expect the internet to have the definition of it. A lot of things, it hasn't really caught up with the Oahspe. The internet hasn't really You're not going to find a lot of definitions on the internet. And looks like I ain't going to be able to find anything. So you have to go to the Oahspe to get the definition of AGAJI. And it means a time of very great, it's a time of semi light, I think is how it's described. It's a time of semi light, very little light. I'm not going to be able to find it. I was doing a study on it. A time of very little light. That's where we are right now. When men are close to going to war, unless I'm mistaken, and I don't think I am, we have entered a time of what's called AJI, AG. Now GA, if you're looking at the screen, that means like a time of pandemics, diseases. See, and you know what? We just came out of that too, didn't we? You know what I'm talking about? Matter of fact, I should just try to show you. Let me see. Um, just reading today, man, I learned a lot. Just from what I read today, I learned more about Jesus Christ and the influence that he was under and how he was used. And it just blows my mind, man. It really blows my mind. Just, oh man. Now let me see if I can find it. AG. It's a time where AG is a time of wars. GAJIAY. That's a time of diseases and pandemics. And isn't it amazing how we just came out of that? So we are declining, we are suffering, we are degrading. We're degrading right now. We are going lower and lower in our spiritual elevation. We're getting close to being unredeemable. Okay, now, here in the book of Wars, I think it is, it mentions that AG is a time of war. GA is a time of, let me make the words bigger here so you can see it. And this is just so important to know because all of us are going to be affected. We're all going to be affected. Faith is, you want to know it so you can be encouraged. You can know that the Creator has got a plan and He's working it. Now here's AG and GA. That's what I'm talking about. Trying to make the letters smaller. Okay? So we're hearing a lot about wars and rumors of wars. I wanted to show you where it says that when these times happen, remember I was talking about the globe, the world, and picturing it passing in front of your palms, going under each of your fingers. Your fingers represent periods of time. I'm trying to find that specific part where it said that GA is this and AG is that. I'm trying to find it. I had it, but I lost it. This is really a word for you, brethren. Again, man, if you got the ability to be spiritual, You got to have the ability to be spiritual. Here's a map showing the earth, and well, I don't know what that is. I know it's atmosphere because it's, as close as it's the atmosphere that's close. It's the first resurrection, is what it looks like, because the atmosphere above the earth is what's closely tied. It's the most closely tied to the earth. So that's where spirits go. Some spirits go to the second, what's called the second resurrection. Now, I don't think I'm going to be able to find what I'm looking for. I wanted to look specifically for that verse that talks about the spiritual grade when that atmosphere passes over the earth, AG. I wish I'd have had it up. Okay, don't look like I'm gonna be able to find it. I can't get lost trying to look for it. But it was a real good thing to find out, because we're in that time. We can know more clearly what time we are living in from a spiritual perspective. And that's what I wanted you to see. There's a part where it says, when the earth comes into the time of aging. Now, as far as I can understand, we just left the period. If we left it, I don't know if these two are combined. I don't know yet. They might not be, they might be. But this time period here that I have on the screen, I'm highlighting, do you know that means diseases and pandemics? Now think of that word or think of that thing that I can't talk about, or YouTube will give me a strike. You know what I mean? The thing that happened a couple of years ago that was worldwide, that was during the time of GA. It's called GA. And now, interestingly, we're in a time of AG. Because really, the world is already at war, really, technically. Because they're bombing each other's countries. I don't know if you brethren know. Alliances are being made between the East and the West. And all we're sitting here waiting on is for the big bomb, whoever lights off first, and then they come out with the big boy weapons. And then the world is going to consider that being at war. And then April 8th, and again, I was thinking, hey man, April 8th, it is a X. That could mean it's over and done with by then, whatever the plan of the Father is. It could mean it's over and done with. Now, most videos and brethren that I see talking about it, they look at it as something beginning. But no one really considers it could be the end. Say like the end. That's it. The end. We don't know. These are the things that we're gonna find out. Now, back to my room real quick. I didn't mean to digress there so much for a second, but I came across this and I thought it was interesting that you should know that the Oahspe, it talks about time periods. And then you have in Corinthians, it talks about a time period. When he says this in 1 Corinthians, he's talking about a time period. And here is where you can find it in the Oahspe. Paul here is talking about, he says, for now we see through a glass darkly. That means that we are at a time of Gia or Ag. Either interpretation that you say would be right. You would be right. And it's interesting that that's what Paul says. So for these hundreds of years, if he's saying this back then, they were at least at a time of GA back then. And I perceive there have been wars and wars and wars, but this time that we're coming into now, I think is unique, aging, because now we can end everybody's life on earth. Man can totally, he can wipe himself out. Now, we know that cannot happen because the world has got to go on for like, I think, what, is it 40,000 something years more or something like that? And then it's got to enter into a season of barrenness. The earth has got to go through a sea. Human beings are going to be extinct. They're going to be extinct. And then they enter a time of barrenness and a time of dissolution, the earth. And that's like what? I think it's like what, 40,000 or so years from now, or is it more? Might be like 40,000 years from now or something like that. And then the process starts all over again, from what I was saying, from reading the Oahspe. So we're under a cycle. Reality is a cycle. And the earth is at a time where it is in the time of enlightenment. At the same time, it's like there must be an overlap here between a time of great darkness and a time of great enlightenment. We must be in a time of decreasing overlap. That's the only way I can understand this. You know, a time when one age and another merge for a very little while. That's the only way I can understand what this is saying. But I just thought it was interesting the way you see when the Oahspe gives you the overstanding, you can find it in the Bible. You can find where the Bible alludes to the Oahspe. And it talks to, the thing that really blows my mind is where it talks about some things that Jesus Christ did that shows the inspiration he was under. And a lot of it was not good, man. It was not good. So it leads you to think of a couple of things. Either the people who put together the scriptures entered things that he did not say, or manipulated the scriptures. You know, there were different councils of men who brought documents together telling us what to believe. And these were men that were subject to false gods. That's why a lot of truth is coming out. People questioning Jesus Christ. I don't know if you brethren realize this. There are a lot of spirits coming out, man, asking questions. And the Oahspe said that that's exactly what was going to happen. That the spirit was going to be put on sons and daughters to start questioning the traditions of the past. And we're finding out that we have been duped. We have been duped something bad. And many of you brethren ain't going to be able to save yourself. You are not going to be, as much as we love you, much as we want you, you're not going to be able to save yourself. We can't, and there ain't nothing we can do about it. And we sitting here telling you what you have to do. Get out of deity worship. But we can't force you. It's got to be your decision. And you got to know what it is. You got to know what it is, man. We can only take you so far. We're running for our life. And we're trying to help you at the same time. There's only few brethren, man, who know about what the light. It's only, I mean, faithless brethren. They're the only ones you can go to get you out of worshiping the deity. Do you know they are the only ones, man, that you can run to? See, with the Oahspe, what I've seen, the focus ain't really on trying to convert you. Did you know that? It's like the creator, he ain't really trying to convert you in the Oahspe. That's what trips me out, man. He ain't even really trying to convert you. And he tells us not to proselytize. That's what the Oahspe say. I can't believe it. It's actually telling us not to proselytize, try to convert people. The Oahspe, it says things like to talk a lot will convert people. But blood, that's another matter, man. That's another matter. Whether you're converted by words or whether you are converted by blood. See, that's why the Bible, it says you really have no need that any man teach you. You know, remember that in the Bible? He says, you know, what did he say? Oh, I came to the room by mistake. Hey, Dave, good to see you, man. Good to see you, brother. Let me hang out with you for a while. Let me see what you got here. You posted some things. Good to see you, brother. Say peace, brother. AG is the Oahspe glossary, brother. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It means a time of great darkness, man. Low spiritual elevation, man. Wagga was sunk by Alf, yeah, to save the Ihan race, right? Not because the inhabitants were unredeemable. Well, they were sunk. Wagga was sunk because they had if you go back and read, I don't have time to do it right now, but it says that because they were unredeemable. But in any case, it don't even really matter, really. I mean, it's really apples and oranges. I mean, the fact is that it was sunk because they were not able to be redeemed spiritually. Their elevation level was too low. And they were told, the Ihans were told they were delivered from that judgment. They were told to make ships and because of what was going to happen. And then you say, notice how the dead, as to corporal form inhabitants, were rescued by the ships of Ah after the sinking of Wagga, or Pan if you prefer. Yeah, I read something like that. They were Ihuans, Druhas, from what I understand, they were sunk. They were the ones who were sunk. You say, notice how the dead, as to the corporal form, inhabitants were rescued by the ships of Ah after the sinking of Wagga. You have to show me that, because the Creator, he didn't just sink a land. He sunk people that were on the land. Okay, so you would have to show me what you're talking about so we can get on the same page. It was a continent of people that were sunk because they were unredeemable. They had reached such a low spiritual level. So if you know different, just put it in the chat. I'll check it out. I mean, I could be wrong. I could have missed something. So I'm always willing to learn. So what was I doing here? I think I was gonna look at something and I forgot what it was. Oh, wait a minute. Here's that thing that I was looking for earlier, where it talks about AG. And look, it's 60%. That time period is when the 3/4 of man is, his spiritual grade is like what, 30, 33, I think. His spiritual grade is like 33. See if I can find that. That's close to unredeemable. An ability to live in the light, an ability to live on the spiritual realm. GA is a time, it's still majority light. GA. And remember, we just got out of, I don't even know if we got out of that time. It could overlap with AJI. This time here, it could overlap with AJI. This was a time of pandemics, diseases, and you know what we just got out of. I can't talk about it because I'll get a strike on my channel. So, I mean, these are things that I'm really just now learning. It's blowing my mind. Can't really get into it right now. It's interesting, so I will. I got so much on my plate that I can't even keep up. I mean, so far as things that we can learn, and you have to keep learning. You have got to keep learning in order to keep moving. But the Oahspe, it don't put no focus on trying to proselytize people. At least not that I can see. That trips me out. It seems like the creators just don't care about brethren coming into this overstanding. It's like that's the feeling you get. It's like he's just telling faithists. He's like assuming that you know you're a faithist, and he's giving us more information to deal with our reality. He's just giving us more information now to absolutely crush any dissension so far as opposing arguments. It seems like that's what the purpose of the Oahspe Bible is. It's just giving us all the information we need to crush religion. Just to crush it. All right, I got to break off, go to the metaphysical understanding because time for the reading is coming up. Thank you to my sister who every day provides me with metaphysical food. Very, very important food, man, so that you can elevate in your spirit. Very important metaphysical food. Here's a word, Bethshean. It's a metaphysical word. Bethshean. It means house of rest, house of tranquility, dwelling in quiet, house of security. Historically, it's a city in Canaan. It was allotted to Manasseh. And then later being one of the districts that supplied Solomon's household with provisions for 1 month in 1 Samuel. Metaphysically, it means a restful, peaceful, confident attitude of mind. House of rest, house of tranquility, dwelling in quiet, house of security. It is only in the quietness of our periods of conscious waiting on God that we find the inner sense of peace and security and conservation that builds up soul and body, enduring substance and life. So that's talking to us, talking to you faithists. A position, a mindset that we should be able. I mean, one thing I'm saying, with the confluence of events going on, you're looking for rest, man. You want assurance. It's going to go well with you. You want this state of mind. You want a restful, peaceful, confident attitude. As we are waiting, that we find inner sense, peace, and security, conservation that builds up soul and body and enduring substance in life. That's the whole point right there, is your endurance, man. Your endurance, as you look around, you don't really see as many people as you should sharing about the light, this type of light, the Oahspe. There's, I mean, don't nobody care about this, you know. That's why when I talk about believing, I talk about the ability to. You got to have the ability to do it. You know, it's kind of like marriage, man. You got to have the ability. You can't just get married. At least from what I can see, you got to have the ability to be married. From what I can see, from my standpoint, you have to have an ability, man, to stay with that one person, go to bed with that one person, wake up with that one person. You know, maybe she likes the house to be warm. Maybe you like it to be a little chilly. You got to compromise. You got to learn. Everybody can't be married, man. You have to have the ability to stay with that person, to be committed, to be faithful. It's the same way spiritually, man. It's a day in, day out thing. You got to have the ability to be spiritual. Compromising, giving, serving one another. You need that in marriage. You need that spiritually too. It ain't no different, man. You know, like the brother in the room, my brother there, David, he just posted something in opposition to what I just got finished sharing. I can receive that. The Creator, He help you. He help you by making sure that you don't try to be proud like you know it all. The Creator, He help you by warning you about your attitude to when a brother corrects you. He warned you about that. You don't humble yourself, you will cut yourself off from greater light. Somebody's trying to tell you something, and now you see the world cut off, no knowledge, no concern, not knowing the great trouble they're in. And I say trouble, man. You know, I see great trouble. I see the light going out. The light, there was a Twilight Zone episode. I don't know if y'all remember. Every time somebody was murdered, the light got a little dimmer. And then it got to the point where it was nearly pitch dark. Every time somebody got killed, the sunlight got a little dimmer and a little dimmer. And then a little more dimmer and a little more and a little more. And it was nearly to the point, I think, at the end of the movie where it was like so dark, it looked like it couldn't get no more dark. And that's spiritually, that's truth. That's going on right now. As we look around and you brothers see what's going on, do you know that there's, I'm tempted to find that about where it says that Pan had to be sunk. Waga, Pan, that continent, it had to be sunk, man. Now, from what I understand, what the brother in my room is disputing is that why it was sunk. I say it was because it was unredeemable, but the brother seems to be saying that the people were redeemed, so I got to look at it. Hey, Dave, if you got that scripture, I'm going to go back and visit you in the room so that I can read it. But I'm pretty sure it says that Pan was sunk because his spiritual score was so low, it was unredeemable. So it's time for the reading of the word. I'm a little late. The name of the video was a sign, word study, a sign. Because April 8th is a sign. Before I get started, let me go back in the room. I usually go in the room before I do the reading. So, okay, nothing else. Again, good to see you, Dave. Glad you in the room. All right. Nobody else to address. So, good time to start the reading of the word. And again, brother, if you find that where it says, let me see, I'm going to read what you got again so I can say, notice how the dead is to corporal form inhabitants were rescued. Okay. The ships of Ab after the sinking of Wagga. Okay, I got to look. I want to see that because I'm under the impression that they were, I'm looking for a good word for, um, I don't want to say killed, but after they were done away with. So I'm glad you brought that up because that'll make me sharpen my understanding. I'm gonna look at that, brother. Thank you. So let's go for the reading now. Let's do the reading. It's a word study on a sign. A sign, because I think April 8th is some sort of sign. So let's see if we can learn something about what's coming and just learn what a sign is in general in the Oahspe Bible. In general, a sign. Let's see if we can learn something and make the letters bigger here. A sign. Now I'm just going through different verses. I'm going to try to see if we can learn something. Okay, and this is I think Book of Wars. This book I'm in right now. I don't know, but anyway, here we have in verse 3 it says, "The whirlwind I made as a sign to man of my way of my created worlds. As you see the power of the whirlwind gathering up dust of the earth and driving it together, know that likewise I bring together the GA and the AG and nebula in the firmament of heaven." So these are like elements, some thicker than others. That the Creator says He showing you how He creates. He says, "By the power of the whirlwind, I create the corporal suns, moons, and stars. I commanded man to name the whirlwinds in the Etherian firmament, and he named them according to their shape, calling them vortices vortices and warp." Verse 4, "And by the power of rotation, swift driving at the periphery, I condensed the atmospheric worlds that float in the firmament, and those became my corporal worlds." So it's like, sorry, brethren, gotta take this. Hello?
So yes, this is Leonard.
Yeah.
I use assigned to come see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Do they know I don't like having male nurses?
I'm sorry?
They should know that I do not like having male nurses tend to my wound. I don't like when I specifically told them I don't like male nurses. I don't want male nurses tending to me. Didn't they tell you that? Now listen, look, man. I'm just gonna have to end up leaving you guys. You can come if there's nobody else, because it's been a week since my bandages have been changed. That's the limit. They said
they asked me to come.
right, but I told them that I do not want male nurses ministering to me. I don't like that. Now, now you're if you're all they've got, then there's nothing I can do. I have to let it happen. Okay.
Yeah, because the Claudia and the other nurse are not available.
Okay, now you're gonna have to tell your company that I'm going to ask the VA if they can provide me with somebody who can meet my request. Okay, so just make sure you tell them that you can come by. All right, but please make sure you tell them because I feel like I have the right to request what I want when it comes to my body. Okay, I don't think I'm being wrong. So make sure you emphasize that. Tell them if they can't meet my request, then I have the right to seek a company that that they can grant my wishes. Okay.
That's correct. Yeah, I'll tell the company then.
Okay, so you'll be by tomorrow at 9, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll be here then.
Okay.
All right, bye. Okay, I'm sorry, brethren. I had to let you hear that. No, had to take it because, well, doesn't matter. But anyway, let's continue. It says, now we're looking at the different verses in the Oahspe that talk about a sign, a sign, a sign. Here's, and I'm picking up in verse 4. I was reading and it mentioned a sign, and now I'm just reading on. It says, by the power of rotation, swift driving at the periphery, I condense the atmospheric worlds that float in the firmament, and these become my corporeal worlds. In the midst of the vortices, I made them. By the power of the vortices, I turned them on their axes and carried them in the orbits I allotted to them. Wider than to the moons of a planet, I have created the vortices and carried the moons also. So it's like the creator is telling you the method of creation here, where he, if to how you see, like if you spin, like say you spin water in a cup or something, it creates a circular motion. And creator is saying that's how he brings together the elements that form physical matter. So that's how you have the earth. The center of the vortex is where the most um, it's the center of the vortex is where the matter is condensed and becomes physical. So this is more just dealing with how he creates as a sign. Around some of my corporal worlds, I have given nebulous belts and rings so that man could comprehend the rotation of my vortexian worlds. So, very interesting how Creator, he's telling you about how the world is created. You can read that. I'm going to move on to other verses where it talks about a sign, so that we can see, so that we can learn something. Now, here it says in chapter 4 of, I think this is Book of Jehovah. Verse 1, it says, man perceived the general formation of the world, and he prayed that his eyes would be open for a sign in heaven. And Jehovah answered him, saying, verse 2, the clouds in the air I bring into view suddenly by different currents of wind. I make the unseen visible and tangible in men's senses. In the same way, I cause ethereal currents to bring forth GA and AG and nebulae prior to making the corporal worlds. So, interesting thing here, he talked about GA and AG again and nebulae. And when these are like, from what I can understand, these are like spirits because they represent periods of time. And he says he uses a vortex to bring these times to into our reality. Somehow that's how he brings these times. Remember, GA is like a time of 66% light. AG, that's like a time of 33%. What is that? AG is a time of 33%. It's darker, okay? Let me see, 66% of light, 33% of light. I think that's GA. That means the darkness is increasing. And nebulae is corporality, physicality, from what I understand. Or it's what's used, nebulae, to make corporeal physical worlds. Verse 3, in all of the universe I have made the unseen to rule over the sea. Let the formation clouds stand in view of man on earth so that he may bear witness to the way the unseen becomes seen. So, wow, that's the purpose of the clouds. Like, I'm looking up right now, I see some clouds, but most of the time out here, or maybe not most of the time, but a lot of times it's just clear blue skies. Clear blue skies. And I'm sure it's the same where you are. Krager said he did that. He makes it clear blue, and then all of a sudden you look up, you see clouds, so that you can know a spiritual principle. He brings the unseen. He brings the seen out of the unseen. All right, let's check out another verse. It says, verse 4, man perceived and he prayed for a sign of duration. And Jehovah answered him, saying, note, the tree which is sprung up out of the ground and fulfilled its time, it falls and rots and returns to the earth. But the wind, which you do not see, never ceases to blow. So also is the comparative duration of all things. Do not think, O man, that corporal things are annihilated because they disappear. For as a drop of water evaporates and rises in the air as unseen vapor, so do all corporal things, even earth, stones, gold, silver, and lead, become as nothing, loss of corporality, physicality. In the firmament of heaven, in course of time. Verse 6, things that man sees, I created with the beginning and an end, but the unseen I made of endless duration. Isn't that something? He says, verse 7, I made the corporal man belonging to the seen, but the spiritual man I made as one within the unseen and everlasting. How do you like that? That's why I like to in my videos, I I think that this is a principle that faithists have, that they have always had. They have realized the value of the seen as compared to the unseen, and they seem to realize that the unseen is that is the thing that's important. The unseen. I think that we live in a reality where people value what is seen over the unseen. That's where I think we live. We live in that type of reality where people. That's why I mean this is hard. This reality is very hard on faithists because the world every day it seems to be saying to us that the creator is not real and he has no power and there ain't nothing that there is no truth, there is no uh there's no way that we can know his will. It's just the earth is a place of the thickest darkness. The thickest darkness is where we are right now. You faithists, you sons and daughters, where we live, we're in the place of the thickest darkness. We're in the beast kingdom. We are in the beast kingdom. We're in the beast kingdom of spirits, man. When you got people who can kill and murder other people as easily as they do in this reality, it's because of one reason. We are in the beast kingdom. The beast kingdom, man. That's where we are. Verse 8, it says, as the corporal man perceives corporal things, so does the spiritual man follow upward and upward the evaporated corporal entities and things. Meaning you're interested in what happens after the physical mortality. You faithless brethren, you have it within you to be interested in more than others in the spiritual, in our spiritual being. When we leave corporality, when we leave physicality, and don't think this is a light thing, man. You think that everybody, they are as interested as you are, and that is not true. That is not the truth. I'm telling you, man, it's not the truth. Now, you can strike up a conversation with brethren who they will talk to you about spiritual things, but clearly their life, it don't show it. At some point they get tired and they want to talk about carnal, fleshly things and life and people and want to talk about business and money and Bitcoin and, you know, that's a sign in itself, man. I mean, faith is creator. He said he's going to gather us together. He's going to gather us. And he's going to bring us he's going to separate. We are going to be brought to our own kind, man. We are going right now. We're mixed. We're a mixed multitude. We are with the Druks, the Druhas. We are right now called Ihuans, meaning we mixed with way back thousands of years ago. We mixed with unbelievers, unenlightened, and we're still here today. Still here today. That's why we have a conflict within ourselves, because we're a mixed people, Ihuans, part believer, part unbeliever. It says, as corporal things are tangible to corporeans, so are spiritual things, yes, spiritual things tangible to the spirits of the dead. And, you could say we're the dead. I mean, you know, I I wouldn't argue with someone who says that right now we're dead, and that when we cross over, we're born again. Now, maybe I don't know. I guess a person could say, "Well, no, we're alive, and then we cross over, and it's like we're born twice." I wouldn't argue too much. I think the important thing is that we are born again after we leave our mortality. Maybe we're born in spirit, but we're in spirit now. So I don't know. I wouldn't make too much of it, but I do know that when we are born again, it's as if we have new knowledge now. We leave corporeality, the physical, the carnal, and we come into new knowledge, spirituality, a new way of reality. But if you're under deity worship, you will only come out of the first resurrection. You'll only come out of that when the deity that brought you into it brings you out. The deity that brings you into bondage and captivity must be the one who brings you out. And who knows how long that could take. See, again, I know these things, they have no value. I realize that. I know that already. It's not going to stop me. It ain't going to stop me from running. It ain't going to stop. I don't want to be proud and say ain't nothing ever going to stop me. I don't want to say that, but in my heart, man, I know, I know in my heart, man, that I, I am not going back to the world. I'm not going back to the earth. There ain't nothing here. It ain't nothing but beast kingdom spirits here. Spirits that don't got no value, don't care nothing for spiritual things, can't respond to it, can't bear no fruit. It's only a very precious few brethren and sisters in this reality who are faithists, true faithists, man. They can respond to the word. They are lively. They're sensitive to the things of the spirit. But we are surrounded, man. You keep looking at the maps that the Oahspe gives you, talking about where we live, talking about the first resurrection, the second resurrection, atmospheria and etheria and nirvania. And man, it's like, it goes from the deepest darkness, the deepest darkness. And that's where we are right now. Corporality. So let's look at another sign here for a sign. Okay, here it says Earth needles in the atmosphere. And this is going to be interesting right here because it talks about how the sun doesn't give the heat, the earth heat. The sun don't do it. Did you know that? I love it, man. All these things that we used to think, man, and the Oahspe is setting it in order and doing it scientifically. Matter of fact, let me see if the internet knows. Check this out. Even before, let me see something. The Earth does not heat the planet. Oh no, that's not it. Let me do it again. Does the sun heat the Earth? The sun's energy is important to life on Earth.
According to UCAI
Oh,
Center for
please
Science
stop.
Education, University Corporation for Atmospheric Research, infrared
Okay,
radiation from the sun is responsible.
let me cut that off because the Oahspe says that's not true. Now, you know what? They may mean the same thing, man and the Oahspe, but the Oahspe puts it differently. Check this out. I think this is the section, but check this out. It says, when Jehovah condensed the earth and it became firm and crusted over, there rose up from the earth heat and moisture. Okay? From the earth. From the earth. When it became firm and crusted over, the vortex, when it brought together the elements and crystallized the earth and cemented the earth together. It says the earth became firm and crusted over, and there rose up from the earth heat and moisture from the earth. It says, which continue to this day. It says, but Jehovah limited the ascent of the substance going upward, and the boundary and the limit of the moisture was the same as the clouds that float in the air, and the heat was of similar ascent. And while the moisture and heat rise upward, they are met by the etheric substance of the vortex of the earth, and the moisture and the gases of the air assume the form of needles. Isn't that something? So it's like we got a billion, trillion, quadrillion, gazillion, bazillion, eight zillion, 10 quintillion needles in the air that have some sort of vibrating effect which gives us heat. Not the sun. Well, it doesn't say it yet, but check it out. It says, on the side of the earth facing the sun, the needles are, okay, yeah, the sun, it polarizes. The needles are polarized, acting, driving forth, which is called light. But on the face of the earth, opposite from the sun, the needles are in confusion, and this is called darkness. It said, Jehovah said, so that man may comprehend the structure of the belt that holds the earth, I will give him a sign high up in the air. And Jehovah caused the vapor in the firmament to be frozen and fall to the earth white, and it was called snow. For the snowflake shows the matrix in which it was molded. Jehovah said, let this be a sign also that even as heat and moisture rise up from the earth, so are the representative of all things on the earth which have also evaporated upward, and all such things rise up to the level of density that is like themselves, every one to its own level, and they take their places in the strata of the vortex. These are called plateaus or spheres, where they surround the whole earth. Some of them are 10 miles high, some 1,000, some 100,000 or more miles, and all these spheres that rotate, travel with the earth, are called atmosphere or lower heavens. So there's a part where it says that the heat doesn't come from the earth, but the heat does activate. It activates, see, it says up here, needles that are polarized in the sense that elements rise up in the atmosphere, they become crystallized some way or another, and they send off an effect back down to the earth. But I'm not saying it clear enough, and I don't expect anybody to believe the way I put it. But there's a section here in the Oahspe where it says the sun does not, or wait a minute. I'm thinking it says the sun does, oh shoot, what is it? Light the earth? Is dealing with the sun or heat. One or the other, that the sun, oh, I forget now. It says on the side of the earth facing the sun, needles are polarized and acting, driving forth, which is called light. Okay. Yeah, okay. So the light that we have is not directly from the sun. Is that right? I think that's right. Because there's a space, a darkness between the earth and the sun. But light comes from elements that have risen up. They form a density, and they the light that comes, it doesn't come from the sun, or does it? Damn, I need a scientist. Let me see if somebody's bailing me out in the room. I don't think I'm gonna get bailed out on this one. Let me see real quick. No, I don't think I'm gonna get bailed out. It says on the side of the earth facing the sun, the needles are polarized. It says when Jehovah condensed the earth, okay, it became firm, crusted over, then rose up from the earth, heat and moisture, which continue to this day. Okay, so the earth was formed, and it became crusted over. And elements, certain elements rose up from the earth, heat and moisture, which continue to this day. But Jehovah limited the ascent of the substances upward. And the boundary of the limit of moisture was the same as the clouds that float in the air. And the heat was a similar ascent. And while the moisture and the heat rise upward, they are met by etheric substance of the vortex of the earth, and the moisture and the gases of the air assume the form of needles. Okay, so the elements that rise up and they contain heat, they meet up with an etheric substance, which is the vortex of the earth. The two of them, they get together and they form what is called needles, moisture and gases. Moisture and gases take the form of needles. And it says, on the side of the earth facing the sun, the needles are polarized and acting and driving forth, which is called light. So the moisture and the gases come together and they assume a form of needles. And the sun polarizes, activates the moisture and the gases, and they force it down to the earth, and we call that light. So light is indirectly, not directly from the sun. But we say we get the light directly from the sun. It says, but on the face of the earth, opposite from the sun, the needles are in confusion, and this is called darkness. Isn't that interesting? It says, Jehovah said that so that man may comprehend the structure of the belt that holds the earth, I give him a sign high up in the air. Jehovah caused the vapor in the firmament to be frozen, and fall to the earth. White, and it was called snow. For snowflake shows the matrix in which it was molded. So, wow, the element, the belt, the structure of the belt is snow. Jehovah said it was a sign. It's high up in the air, and he causes these things to be frozen, the moisture and the air, or moisture and the gases, to freeze white, and it falls to the earth. For the snowflake shows the matrix in which it is molded. The snowflake. That's why some people study snowflakes. And there are no two that are the same. Wasn't there a guy who studied snowflakes? The man who made a snowflake machine to study whether or not there were any two snowflakes the same. Keith Hydorn. No two alike snowflakes. No two alike. No two alike. Snowflake Bentley with his snowflake machine. Bentley. So he was dedicated to finding two snowflakes that were alike. You know, there's some guys like that in the earth, man. You know. Oh man, I hit the room by mistake. So, welcome, Global Purpose. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. You say Global Purpose Peace Family. For those who know, will be introduced. Susan Martinez, PhD, is our faithful sister who has written a book on Pan called The Lost Continent of Pan and YouTube lectures as well. Yeah, she's in my room. She's in this room right here. Oh, shoot. I didn't mean to hit that. Get back to my room. I didn't mean to hit that. Yeah, I'm honored to have Susan Martinez in my room on Facebook. So that's not what I meant to hit. My room on the link in the description area. I'm honored to have her in the room. And there she is right there. So, yeah. Now, you say she wrote a book? PhD, our faithful sister, who has written a book on Pan called The Lost Continent of Pan and YouTube lectures as well. Okay, I'm gonna ask her why hey Global, if you still here in the room, me and Dave were having a conversation here. Why was Pan sunk? Do you know? Why was Pan sunk? Do you have understanding on that? I say it was because their elevation was so low they were unredeemable. I'm talking about people. Dave says that there were people who were redeemed. And I think he's talking about people who were the inhabitants. So give me your understanding on why Pan was sunk, if you don't mind, Global. I'd like to hear what, I'm going to look it up myself. I'm pretty sure I read because their elevation was so low that the god he sunk it. I shouldn't say the creator. I should say the god Not as caught up on the subject. Sorry. Okay, it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. I'm going to, after the video, I'm going to check it out. And it's good to commit it to memory to know. So anyway, we can go on. Let's go on. We're looking at a sign verses that talk about a sign. It says, man perceived the general formation of the world and he prayed that his eyes would be open. Okay, so I read that already. Let's look at other verses where it talks about a sign. Now, let me start verse 9. It says, each and everything I created new upon the earth. That includes us. We were created new on the earth. Let me make the letters bigger. Each and everything I created new upon the earth. Of a kind, each to itself. Each and everything I created new upon the earth, of a kind, each to itself, and not one living thing did I create out of another. Verse 10, let a sign be upon the earth so that man in his darkness may not believe that one animal changes and becomes another. Verse 11, and so Jehovah gave permission for different animals to bring forth a new living animal which would be unlike either its mother or father. How do you like that? But he caused a new product to be barren. And we have a footnote. It says the mule has been instanced as proof that there is no such thing as one animal evolving into another. These editors note, it says it indicates editor of the 1882 edition of Oahspe, which was Oahspe's first publication. So it says the mule has been instanced as proof there is no such thing as one animal evolving into another. So a mule has always been a mule. So evidently, man says that mule, an animal, has it kind of reminds me of evolution, where he says we started out as a monkey, and then we became a walking man. When I read this, that's what it reminds me of. That is saying we started out one thing and then we evolved into another. But Oahspe, the creator, he's saying, let a sign be upon the earth so that man in his darkness may not believe that one animal changes and becomes another. Verse 11, and so Jehovah gave permission for different animals to bring forth a new living animal, which would be unlike either his mother or father, but that he caused a new product to be barren. Verse 12, Jehovah said, this shall be testimony for all men that I created each and all living after their own kind only. Okay, makes sense to me. Such is my person and my spirit being from everlasting to everlasting. When I bring a new world into the time of Simu, that's the elements that create the elements and the gel. It's like a gel that creates, that the creator uses for the creation of the world. He says, my presence quickens the substance into life, and according to locality and the surroundings, I bring forth the different species, where they are flesh of my flesh and spirit of my spirit. To themselves I give themselves. Nevertheless, they are all members of my person. He says, verse 14, as a testimony to man, behold, the earth was once a globe of liquid fire, nor was there any seed on it. By due season I rained down Simu on the earth, and by virtue of my presence I quickened into life all the living. Without seed I created the life that is in them. So these things are a sign that the Creator is all power, all source, all life. Because I think that he's addressing the knowledge that he knows man is going to be corrupted in his science, in his thinking. So we have many signs that must lead us back to the Creator, man. It must lead us back to the uncreated Creator. When man comprehended the earth, he looked upward, and Jehovah saw him and knew the desires of his soul. He knew the desires of man's soul. He knew the desires of man's souls. So Jehovah sent his son Uz, and Uz spoke, saying, hear me, O man, the mysteries of heaven and earth I will clear up before your judgment. You, the human race, before your judgment. He says, you, the human race, are the highest of all creation, and come to the highest of all kingdoms. From great Jehovah you shall learn wisdom, and none shall stop you. He says, verse 3, contemplate, O man, on the magnitude of your father's kingdoms and his places in the firmament on high. Unless I take you into the heavens above, you cannot comprehend its places. Verse 4, man then rose up in spirit and ascended into the firmament, for his spirit had crystallized in the separateness. And Uz and Es, which is spirit, Es, ascended with him, speaking in the voice of the Father, and man saw that each and everything in the firmament was orderly and still each to itself located. Then Spirit spoke, saying, observe, O man, as a farmer sows corn in one place, wheat in another, and flax in yet another, everything in a separate place, even so does Jehovah store the ingredients of which worlds are made. Everything in this place, the substance of the iron, in one place, the substance of the stones, in another, the substance of the vegetable kingdom, in another, and likewise for the substance of the animal kingdom, in the oils and sand, for he has places in the firmament of heaven for all of them. These that you saw are the Ga and Ag and the nebulae. And the footnote says that is the substance of the things seen was atmospheric substance, which was either in the more rarefied Gan form or the comparatively thicker Gan form are in the thickly dense nebula form. And amid them in places there is seamu also. Let no man say over there is oxygen only and over here oxygen only. The visions of the substances of his creations are not as man would make them. All the elements are to be found not only in places close by, but in distant places also. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. I'm going to make that the conclusion of the reading of his word. Of a sign versus talking about a sign, it led us into the creation account and how the creation is. So let me go back to the room so that if there's any more things for me to comment on, I can do that. If not, I can close the video. And it says, let me see, global purpose, you were the last one. And looks like there's nothing else. All right. Thank you, brethren, for joining me. I really appreciate it. I want to give thanks to Heavenly Father, Earthly Mother, for the opportunity to be a light while I'm in this reality. And I pray that you, brethren, are blessed, that you, brethren, that we will get more wisdom, knowledge, and understanding as to the coming time that many people are talking about. April 8th, this eclipse, and what does it mean? Brethren, let me see. Dave posted something. You say the mule is a cross between a horse and a donkey. However, the mule, either Jenny or Jack, is not capable of creating offspring. I didn't know that. You say the mule is a cross between a horse and a donkey. However, the mule, either Jenny or Jack, is not capable of creating offspring. Really? Let me see. Let me go back to what I read here. What I read, it said that the mule, he said, we just got finished reading where the creator said that he doesn't create one from another. Okay, so that goes to your point. That's nice. That is nice. Boy, that is nice, man. Let me put a heart by that one. Let me see what happens when I put a heart. Click on the heart. How do I... No. I wanna click on the heart for that one. That was good. I like that, Dave. I like that. That is really nice. The mule is a cross between a horse and a donkey. However, the mule, either Jenny or Jack, is not capable of creating offspring. Isn't that something? That glorifies the creator. You just glorified the creator, bro. You blessed my soul. Oh, wow. That was so nice, man. I'm just chewing on that. Let me do a word. Let me do an internet search on that real quick. See what it says. Mules can't reproduce. Wow! Ah! Why can't mules have offspring? Nice! Isn't that nice, man? That was really nice, man. I love that overstanding. All right. I'm going to give thanks to Heavenly Father. Thank you, brother. Thank you, Dave. That was really... I want to post that in the room. I'm going to post that in the room. That is... I really like that. That overstanding. I really like that. I didn't know that. Well, I mean, only from reading. I love seeing the creator's word confirmed, man. I love that. I love it, love it, love it. All right. Let me go close the video now. Brethren, thank you for joining me. May the creator bless you, brethren. May he bless and increase you, brethren, your wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and prepare us for the times to come, that he might count us worthy to escape the things that are coming on the earth. So until I see you, brethren, again on video, peace be unto you. Shalom.